Welcome to my tutorial for Gears 5 on Insane Mode Solo. For this first part, hopefully you still have the Mulcher from the previous encounter. You don't need it though, but it is a useful way to take out 2 or 3 of the initial enemies that come out. If you shoot these charging drones, you can take out about 2 or 3 of them before you actually exit off the lift, but you have to ride the lift for a while. It forces you to ride it. So you'll have to ride it for a while and dodge some drop shots, which is, it can be a little bit of a pain in the ass, but it's easy to dodge. The main thing is to try to take out 2 or 3 drones if you can, if you have the Mulcher, or just use whatever weapons you have available. But if you can take out about 2 or 3 with the Mulcher and then, maybe snipe a few of them, you can definitely thin it out. But it gets pretty easy once you get off this lift, so mainly you just have to survive this ride. And then you'll have a good opportunity to pick off some enemies. The next thing you want to shoot at is take out this hovering drone that's providing the shields for the drop shot enemy. And once you take that down, you'll take the shield down and you can possess the drop shot enemy and have him take out the other drones. So that's what I ended up doing. So yeah, now that that guy's dead, you can possess this large enemy. And soon the lift is going to open up and you can go into a larger area where you're a lot safer. You don't really have to worry about getting shot too much. The main issue then is going to be worrying about enemies that'll climb up the ladder and try to rush you. But you may get one occasional enemy that makes it up. It's not too dangerous. So yeah, now try to take possession of that large enemy that was firing the drop shots at you. And now that he's possessed, you can kind of just take your time and peek over the edge and try to thin out the enemies from below. So it's really not too difficult if you do it that way. So yeah, try to take out as many enemies as you can. If you have the sniper rifles, then, try to take off some heads. It's quicker. But if not, just try to get in whatever damage you can and then retreat. Use your stim if you have it. You probably won't have it if you're using a possession, though. So, you may have to peek out and then retreat immediately because you can get shot down quickly even from up here. You can always possess that enemy again if you want, or try to finish him off and possess a different enemy, or use your stim. You have a lot of options from this point, but just be careful with these enemies that occasionally get up this ladder and climb up here, because they can take you out quickly since they have the overkill shotgun. And I believe there's other enemies that have shotguns and weapons like that too, so they can kill you very fast if you don't take care of them quickly. So just be aware that they can climb up there. But I mean, really, you're dealing with very little enemies since, there's only an occasional enemy that can climb up. And aside from that, you're just going to pick away at their health. So it's pretty easy if you take it slow. It's really not a hard checkpoint with all the abilities you have. All the progress in this video is maybe a little bit over an hour of playing the game, including the exploring. But there were no segments that took long to beat. So these were all pretty easy encounters, relatively. One of the hardest parts so far was actually that matriarch boss. Though I did beat it on my 3rd try, but I mean, it's one of the hardest parts in the game if you don't use the trick that I ended up using with grenade tagging him and freezing him. But aside from that, some of the earlier parts were probably harder than some of the later parts in the game. I mean, the game doesn't get too hard on this difficulty compared to the 4th one. There were some large encounters that were kind of tough, like the encounter with the on the lake with the ice. And lots of enemies. That was a tough encounter, but there has been a few difficult encounters. But it's mostly pretty easy to cruise through if you're used to these kind of difficulties for the most part. Especially if you beat the previous game on Insane, then you shouldn't have any trouble with this game, aside from maybe a few parts. Though we'll see if there's any later parts that present more of a challenge maybe later on. I did play through once on hardcore, and I don't remember there being anything that really stood out. There was a few tricky encounters later, I think, but I don't see them giving me that much trouble on Insane. I think if you beat Act 2, you're pretty much good to beat the rest of Insane, from my experience on hardcore. So now, after clearing out these guys, these fights are basically just a way for you to deplete all your ammo. These are the worst designed enemies in the game, in my opinion, because they're pretty much there just to drain all your ammo. And they're not much of a threat at all, because as long as you roll out of the way or use your stim occasionally, you'll survive. They don't one-hit kill you, as far as I've noticed. Occasionally, you may have to tap B if one jumps onto you. Sometimes they'll leech onto you, but even taking hits is not lethal. So usually, I think I've rarely ever died from these enemies, if I have. But it's more just a way to waste all your ammo. So all you got to do is shoot at them, use your stim occasionally to give yourself a little resistance. But you really probably don't even need to use the stim. I mean, I think it's kind of hard to die from this. I beat this the first time I got to it in this playthrough. I did pretty much waste all my ammo, though, so I ended up having to pick up an overkill, which normally I wouldn't use on Insane difficulty because you just die so fast when you try to get up close to enemies. So I pretty much stick to sniping weapons, or if I don't have sniping weapons available, I go for like machine gun type of weapons. And always the Boltok, which is great. I try to use that whenever I can, if I don't have sniping weapons. Or if I just don't want to waste my sniper ammo, I'll use the Boltok. Here I'm just using it on this because I don't have any other weapons available, so I end up wasting pretty much everything I have. So like I said, it's super easy. It's just, you're going to waste all your ammo probably pretty much. It's a way to drain all your supplies. So yeah, pretty badly designed. I think this is the weakest enemy design in the game, for sure. I mean, it looks kind of cool, but functionally it's, it's a pretty mindless fight that just wastes your supplies that you've been saving up. But this game does give you a lot of ammo anyway, so it's not a huge deal. Especially being able to retrieve ammo off the field with the bots. A lot of these aspects make the game a lot easier than Gears 4 as well, because you have the bots, you have the abilities, you have a lot at your disposal to give you that extra edge. Instead of being when you're near death, you have a way to escape it a lot easier in this game. Whereas in Gears 4, you usually just die. Insane. So this is not really a hard encounter. I mean, it took me a few tries, but it's not bad. If you have the ability, try to headshot a few of these guys initially. And I would say save up your possession ability. Just take these guys out normally and save up your possession for the large enemy. I forget what they're called, but I believe it's a large enemy with a drop shot. So try to save up for that. And then you can take over that drop shot enemy, and he'll pretty much destroy the regular enemies. So that's all you really have to worry about doing. Just take out this initial wave. And as soon as you have some clearance and take out this initial wave of enemies, then slide down there and, fight for a little while. But as soon as you get the opportunity, try to take over that drop shot enemy. Especially because he has a ton of health, so taking him over is good because you don't have to worry about draining his health right away. You can just let him kill the other enemies for you. I had some drop shot ammo left over, so I got a few explosive shots in with that. But you can just use, regular weapons just to thin out the enemies and then possess the large enemy when you have the chance. Watch out for the wretches because they pretty much will one-hit kill you. Or kill you very quickly, so you want to make sure they don't get to you. You can take them out very quickly with the Boltok. But if you're not paying attention, they can... I have had one creep up on me and kill me on one of my attempts. So yeah, with that guy possessed, you see he wipes out a lot of the enemies, and then once he wakes up, you can start working on taking him out. Just don't stay up for too long because those buzzsaws will kill you fast. Yeah, he doesn't actually have the drop shot; he has the buzzsaw. But either way, use your stim if you want to take some extra shots. Use your stim and then pop up and take some shots at him, and you can absorb some of the damage that way. It's a very good technique in this game. So now you're going to have a very easy wave of enemies. There's only a few enemies here, so just stay up here, and if you have the buzz kill from the enemy we just killed, you can use a few of those blades and take out some of the enemies. But standard enemies, weapons will work fine for this. This is a really easy encounter. The next encounter, we're going to have a carrier, which is kind of like a mini-boss type of fight, and it's very, very fucking easy because I found a way that you can exploit it. So I'll show that. It can be hard if you try to stay in this arena and fight it the whole time, like normally, but you really don't have to do that. So initially, you can shoot some of these gas tanks to do a little damage to it, and you can pelt it with your ammo. Of course, when it's open, it's going to take more damage when you shoot the glowing parts. But then you do have to watch out because you can get killed very fast when it's open because it shoots out all these enemies that kind of will group up and bust into you and kill you really fast. So you got to be careful with that. Of course, kill these exploding wretch type enemies or juvies, whatever they're called. Just kill them because they will kill you. You can also possess the exploding juvies, and it seems like they will run back at the carrier and suicide bomb them. But it seemed like that's what they were doing anyway, but it's not really an important thing to do. But you can do that. It'll get rid of them and get them off your back. It'll make one of them leave you alone at least, but it's really not important to do it. But try to get as much damage as you can as you're retreating backward for this part of the fight. And of course, dodge and use your stim to stay alive. But once it moves back a certain amount, once you want to like shoot at it while you're moving backward, just keep retreating while taking out the wretches and dodging. And then once you get to a certain point, you can go inside this doorway that they didn't close off for whatever reason, and you can pretty much abuse it from the doorway. Because once you go in this doorway, it has no idea how to hit you, so you're pretty much invincible if you stay behind the door. It doesn't seem like any of its shots will get through that doorway. So now all you have to do here is just fire at him through the door. And when you run out of ammo, trade weapons with your teammates until you used up all their ammo as well. And then if that's not enough to kill him, you may want to use stim and run out on the field and try to grab more ammo or weapons. Or use Jack to grab ammo or weapons. Just highlight what you want and have Jack grab it by hitting X. So there's a lot of ways that you can get more ammo if you do run out. But all you got to do is, waste up your ammo on them from this doorway. I did end up being more aggressive towards the end and using a few shots from the overkill while I was stimmed to finish him off. So if you need to do that, just, whatever you need to do to finish him off. But he's no threat to you at this point, so you have the opportunity to run out, grab shit, use Jack to grab shit. Whatever you need to do. If you had no ammo and no way to get ammo, you could probably even spam the Zapper move from Jack. I think Zapper does damage to enemies as well, so you could probably... It's not the Zapper, but it's the... I'm not sure what it's called. It's probably the Shock Trap. I think if you spam Shock Trap when you don't have ammo, you can still damage enemies with that if you keep using it. But you have to wait for it to recharge each time, obviously. But, I mean, there are other options. If you run out of ammo, you probably still have a few things that you can use to finish them off, even if it's tedious. Sometimes the teammates are very stubborn and they won't trade weapons with me, but once you do exhaust the ammo from the weapons that you trade with them, you can't get the ammo back by trading with them the same gun with them again. It won't replenish the ammo. So just trade with the 3 available squad mates. Trade with all of them, and you'll get 3 different weapons you can waste on this guy. And you really don't have to worry about shooting him just when he's open. Just keep putting bullets in him. Eventually, it'll be enough. It doesn't seem like you can possess the carrier. But if you do see the Juvies come out, you can possess one of them for a little extra damage. I think they'll suicide bomb the carrier. But, you know, it doesn't make that much of a difference. Now you can see at this point I'm pretty much out of ammo for the most part. So since his health is really low, I do make an aggressive move towards the end. See, and he wasn't trading his weapon with me. He's being very stubborn with that. It's kind of hit or miss when you try to trade weapons with your teammates. So finally I get the overkill, which has 12 shots. So I do end up using that to finish the boss off. The main issue is when he's open and shooting out that shit is when he's really dangerous. So as long as he's not opened up, you can probably just shoot him from the back. You know, use your stim if you need to survive. But see, he explodes. It was just off screen. Now here I show on the map this area where I'm doing this next side mission. It's the first of the side missions that I did in this area. So I'll show that. And it's really not that hard if you approach it the way I did it. I found this to be a good way to do it. You can try to stealth kill more enemies, obviously, but I like this path because I was trying it another way where I stealth killed a lot of the enemies initially, but I would usually get spotted eventually, and it became a fuckfest. So I'm gonna say take this path if you want an easier route. So stealth kill this first guy, very easy. Just peek around the corner, see what he's doing, and then just get him from the back. You don't have to use your stealth ability for that. It's very easy just to, you don't have to cloak or anything. Just get him from the back. Now if you want, you may want to use stealth here and then take out, I believe it's 2 enemies in this area. You really don't need to use stealth for this first guy or the previous guy. But it is an option. You can always use it. I used it for this guy on the far end because I have gotten spotted by him before. So, you know, the game is kind of sloppy with getting spotted sometimes. It's kind of, it seems kind of random sometimes. So I just did it as a precaution. It's not like it's a big deal to wait around for a little while to recharge your abilities. If you're not spotted, you can just sit around indefinitely. So it's not, you know, not a huge deal. So what I decided to do was kill those those 3 guys, and then I go around all the way around this edge here, and I approach the enemies from the back. I found this to be a really safe way to do it. And then I'm going to use the possession on the large enemy. Once I take down his shield drone, then you can possess him. And as I've been recommending to do on a lot of encounters. So I'm just going to do that. And then just pick off the weak enemies and then finish off the large enemy at the end. That's all. Very simple if you do it this way. Otherwise, it can be a hard fight if you try to take all these guys on head-on. Or if you try to stealth kill all the beginning guys, it can be very hard because it's very easy to get spotted. So taking out these 3 guys is pretty low risk, and then you get around the back and you have a huge advantage from this angle. So I would say just follow it the way I did it here, and you shouldn't have too much of a problem. This is an optional mission, but I like doing all these because sometimes you get some pretty good abilities. One of the abilities I think that you get from doing these missions is the enemy that you possess will explode at the end when the possession is over with, and I think that'll kill the enemy automatically and damage anybody around him. I remember that being really good, so I think you get it by doing these side missions in this area, if I remember right. I'm not sure exactly where I got everything. I know I got that ability. I'm guessing I got it from here. Usually you get good things from doing these side missions, so it's usually worth doing them. So yeah, once you destroy this floating drone, now you can possess the large guy. I believe he has the drop shot. I don't know the official names for a lot of the enemies, but you get the point. So now that he's possessed, he's going to deal with some of the smaller drone enemies, the more generic enemies. You can also take off a few heads and shit while you're waiting. And once you've killed all the smaller enemies, just focus on finishing off the enemy that you possessed previously. He'll be ready to kill. As long as you take cover and just take a few pop shots at his head, or if you can't hit the head, then hit him anywhere. But eventually he will die. So yeah, nothing too hard in this video, but I had about 20 minutes worth of combat footage, so I figured I've been trying to show about 20 minutes of combat per video. I don't show anything except the combat, pretty much, so this area will probably be over within the next few videos, maybe 1 or 2 videos for this area, and then will be the final act. I'm working on The Last of Us 2 now. I'm just going through the standard difficulty. Horrible fucking story and characters, but luckily the gameplay is top-notch like the first one, so that's kept me entertained. But the story almost makes me want to shut the shit off. But I'll probably go through on the hardest setting, as long as the stealth isn't completely broken feeling, like Uncharted 4 on Crushing, which I did beat. And the first Last of Us, I thought the stealth was really fucked, too, where you just got spotted for no apparent reason. I feel like Naughty Dog is not good at developing, stealth in their games. So we'll see what I want to do with that. I'm going through the moderate setting first, just to have a little fun with it, not be too frustrated. And if I enjoyed it, I will probably put up a playthrough of it on the hardest, maybe even a tutorial, with commentary over it. Thanks for watching.